Have you ever looked at your life and quietly asked yourself, why is this happening to me? In the stillness of the night or in the chaos of the day, that question rises like a whisper in your soul. Maybe you've done everything right, or at least tried to, and still nothing seems to work out. You've loved people who left, trusted people who betrayed you, poured yourself into dreams that crumbled before your eyes. You've prayed prayers that felt like they never made it past the ceiling, begged for clarity but received silence, cried out for peace but were met with more storms. And somewhere deep inside, a thought begins to form. Is this all for nothing? We all carry stories laced with invisible pain. The heartbreak no one saw, the failure you keep replaying in your mind, the quiet disappointment that keeps returning when life doesn't look how you thought it would. You look around and wonder how others seem to be thriving while you're stuck in survival mode. You question your worth, your faith, your future. And maybe, just maybe, you start to believe the lie that this is how it ends. That the struggle defines you. That the darkness has the final say. But what if it doesn't? What if the pain you're carrying isn't a detour, but a doorway? What if the tears you've cried are watering something greater than you can yet understand? What if all of this, every heartbreak, every setback, every unanswered prayer, is not the end of your story, but part of the preparation for something divine? God's plan is not broken. It's not late. It's not lost. It's just bigger than what you can see right now. Your struggles are real and they matter, but they are not the whole story. There is a purpose being woven through your pain, even when you can't trace it. This season of confusion, this chapter of hardship, it may very well be the foundation of the testimony that will one day inspire someone else to keep going. So hold on, not because everything makes sense, but because God is still writing and He never wastes a single word. We crave control. We crave it more than we often realize. We plan our days, map out our goals, and make decisions with the quiet assumption that if we do the right things, life will reward us with clarity and peace. But then life interrupts. Something unexpected happens, a closed door, a betrayal, a diagnosis, a delay, and suddenly the blueprint we were counting on crumbles. And in that space of uncertainty, we start reaching for answers. We want to know why. Why did this happen? Why now? Why me? There's something deeply human about our need to understand. We want to connect the dots to make sense of our suffering, to see how the pieces will fit together. But life doesn't always offer that clarity, at least not right away. Sometimes the silence is louder than any answer we hope to receive. We pray, but heaven feels quiet. We seek, but nothing changes. And in that silence, doubt creeps in. We wonder if we did something wrong. We question if God is even listening. We begin to believe that maybe our pain is pointless. But what if it isn't? What if the silence isn't a punishment, but a pause? What if the lack of answers isn't a sign that God is absent, but a reminder that His ways are higher than ours? Maybe we were never meant to understand everything just yet. Maybe control was never the goal to begin with. Perhaps in the places where we feel most helpless, we're being invited to release our grip and trust in something greater than our understanding. It's hard to accept, but real peace often begins when we stop demanding clarity and start learning to rest in faith. Not blind faith, but bold faith, the kind that says, I don't see it, but I still believe. The kind that whispers, even when I don't understand, I know God hasn't left me. Because sometimes the real strength isn't found in having all the answers, but in learning how to trust when we don't. There are few things more difficult than praying with your whole heart and hearing nothing back. You pour out your soul, sometimes through tears you can't explain, asking God for guidance, for peace, for something, anything to show you that He hears you. But the silence lingers. Days go by. Weeks. Sometimes even years. And in that silence, fear begins to whisper. Has God forgotten me? Am I alone in this? But let this truth settle deep in your heart. God's silence is not His absence. Just because you can't feel Him doesn't mean He isn't near. Just because He's not speaking doesn't mean He's not working. In fact, some of the most profound seasons of growth happen in the silence. Not because God is punishing you, but because He's preparing you. Preparing you for a deeper strength, a clearer purpose, a closer walk with Him. Think of Joseph, sold into slavery, falsely accused, locked away in prison. For years, he heard no word from God, no explanation, no escape. But in that hidden place, God was shaping his character, sharpening his integrity, and setting the stage for a future he could never have imagined. When the silence broke, Joseph wasn't the same man who had been thrown into a pit. He had been prepared to carry the weight of a calling that would save nations. Or David, anointed as king but sent back to tend sheep, hunted by Saul, hiding in caves. Long before the crown ever touched his head, God met him in the quiet fields and the lonely wilderness. And it was there, in the silence, that David learned to listen differently, not with his ears, but with his heart. The silence you're walking through may feel unbearable, but it's not empty. It's doing something in you. It's building endurance, trust, and unseen strength. It's stripping away distractions and teaching you to recognize God's presence beyond just words. He's not punishing you. He's preparing you. He's drawing you closer, teaching you to trust not in the outcome, but in Him. So if you're in that quiet place, don't give up. Don't assume God has turned His face away. He's closer than you think. Sometimes the teacher is silent during the test, not because He's gone, but because He wants you to remember what He's already taught you. Silence isn't the end of your story. It's the soil where faith takes root and begins to grow. Pain has a way of grabbing our attention like nothing else. It disrupts the routine, breaks the illusion of comfort, and forces us to confront what's really inside of us. No one asks for hardship. No one welcomes struggle. But somehow it's in the fire of adversity that something deep within us begins to change. Because struggle doesn't just shake us, it shapes us. The truth is, pain refines character. It burns away what's shallow and temporary, and it exposes what's lasting and true. It tests our faith, our patience, our love, and in that testing, it strengthens them. The person you become after the trial is rarely the same as the one who entered it. Through the hardship, you begin to uncover strength you didn't even know was there. Strength you never had to use until life demanded it. Resilience, courage, endurance. These things don't grow in ease, they're forged in difficulty. And something else happens in pain, it sharpens your perspective. Suddenly, things that once felt so important fade into the background. You begin to see with clearer eyes. You learn to value what's real. You begin to let go of what doesn't matter and cling to what does. There's a clarity that only comes through suffering, a deeper understanding of yourself, of others, and of God. Pain also deepens empathy. When you've walked through darkness, you become more compassionate toward others who are hurting. You no longer offer shallow words or quick fixes. You sit with people in their pain because you know what it feels like to be there. Your wounds, once healed, become a source of comfort and connection for others. In that way, your struggle becomes a ministry, your trial a testimony. It's important to say this too, the pain is real. It's heavy. It hurts. It's not something to dismiss or downplay. But so is the purpose. God never wastes a wound. Every tear, every disappointment, every sleepless night, it's all being used. You may not see it now, but something holy is happening within you. You're not being destroyed, you're being developed. There is purpose in your pain, not just for where you've been, but for where God is taking you next. Life, when you're in the middle of it, can feel like a mess of disconnected pieces, like a puzzle scattered across a table with no picture on the box to guide you. There are moments of beauty, yes, but also pieces that feel jagged, broken, and completely out of place. You stare at them and wonder, how could this possibly fit into anything good? The pain, the delays, the disappointments, they seem random and senseless when viewed in isolation. But what if you're only seeing a part of the picture, not the whole? Imagine a grand tapestry being woven. From the underside, all you can see are tangled threads, knots, loops, and colors that don't seem to match. But when you flip it over, when you step back and view it from above, you see the full design. The chaos makes sense. The dark threads have purpose. The jagged lines come together into something breathtaking. And that's how it is with God's plan. From where you're standing right now, it may not look like much. It may even look like it's falling apart. But from where God sits, He sees the whole masterpiece in progress. You are living in the middle of the process. You can't see the end yet, and you're not supposed to, not now. But just because the pattern isn't clear doesn't mean there isn't one. Just because you don't understand the why doesn't mean there isn't a reason. Every thread matters. Every piece has its place. What feels like chaos is being shaped into something eternal. And so, trust the artist. Trust the one who sees what you can't. The one who holds the plan, even when you feel lost in it. Your job isn't to understand every stroke of the brush, every turn of the thread. Your job is to stay close, to keep walking, and to believe that even in this, especially in this, God is still creating something good, something bigger, something beautiful. His plan for your life is not random or forgotten. It is a masterpiece, and you, right now, are part of it. When life hits hard, it's easy to assume something must be wrong with you, that the pain you're facing is proof that you've failed, that you're being punished, or that you've somehow fallen out of God's favor. The suffering feels so personal, so heavy, that you start to question your worth and your purpose. You may look at your life and whisper, "Why me? What did I do wrong?" But what if that's not what's happening at all? What if this season isn't about being broken down, but about being built up? What if you're not being shattered, you're being shaped? Shaped for something greater. Shaped for a purpose that requires deeper strength, stronger faith, and a clearer understanding of who you are in God. We don't always recognize preparation when we're in it. It often feels more like pressure than progress. The waiting, the struggle, the silence. It all feels like it's taking something from us. But in reality, it's making something within us. God doesn't waste pain. He uses it to refine you, not define you. He uses it to stretch you, not to scar you. This is where divine timing matters. You might be ready for change, for answers, for breakthrough. But God is preparing you for more than just the next step. He's preparing you to carry what's coming. And sometimes that requires tearing down old beliefs, stripping away false identities, and strengthening your spiritual foundation. The process hurts, but it's holy. God is not punishing you. He's positioning you for something bigger than you've imagined. He sees what you can't. He knows what's ahead. And in His mercy, He's making sure you're ready, not just to receive the blessing, but to sustain it. So don't mistake the process for rejection. Don't confuse pain with punishment. What feels like breaking may actually be the beginning of becoming. You are being shaped with purpose for purpose. And when you finally step into what He's been preparing for you, you'll understand why the fire was necessary, forged not to destroy you, but to reveal the strength He placed inside you all along. There's something powerful about knowing you're not alone in your struggle, about realizing that your valley is not the end, but part of a greater journey many have walked before you. The pages of Scripture are not filled with perfect lives or easy roads. They're filled with people flawed, hurting, waiting, who went through the fire and came out refined, not ruined. Think of Joseph. Betrayed by his own brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and forgotten in prison. His life looked nothing like the dreams God had given him. From the outside, it would have been easy to assume his story was over. But what looked like a pit was really a path. Every step of that painful journey was leading him to the palace, where he wouldn't just survive, but where he would save nations. The transformation didn't happen in the throne room, it happened in the suffering. Then there's David, anointed to be king while still a shepherd boy, but sent back to the fields. Overlooked, undervalued, and later hunted by a jealous king. He spent years running, hiding in caves, crying out to God in the wilderness. But it was in those lonely places that David was shaped into a man after God's own heart. The throne didn't make David a king, the fields and the caves did. That's where he learned courage. That's where he learned trust. That's where God prepared him for the weight of leadership. And maybe now it's you. Maybe you're standing in your own valley wondering why the promise hasn't come, why the pain won't end, why the silence continues. But just like Joseph and David, your valley is not wasted. It's not a detour, it's the development ground of destiny. The struggle you're facing isn't just about getting through, it's about who you're becoming in the process. Real transformation doesn't happen when everything is easy. It happens in the tension, in the questions, in the places where faith feels hard but you choose to believe anyway. Your story is still unfolding. And one day you'll look back and see how this very season, the one you thought would break you, was the turning point that changed everything. So hold on. You're in good company. The same God who brought Joseph from the pit to the palace, the same God who brought David from the field to the throne, that same God is writing your story. And it's not over yet. There are moments when your emotions feel louder than anything else, louder than logic, louder than encouragement, and yes, even louder than faith. You wake up with a heaviness in your chest, or you lie awake at night battling thoughts that tell you it's never going to get better. In those moments, it's easy to believe what you feel more than what you know. You feel forgotten. You feel defeated. You feel like God is far away. And those feelings can be so overwhelming they begin to sound like truth. But here's something you need to remember: feelings are real, but they are not facts. Your emotions are valid, they matter, but they don't always reflect reality. Just because you feel like you're alone doesn't mean you are. And just because you feel like God is silent doesn't mean He's absent. Your feelings may change from moment to moment, but God's promises never do. This is where faith becomes more than a concept. This is where it becomes a choice. Faith over feelings means choosing to believe the truth even when your heart is tired. It means trusting God's word over your mood. It means holding on to the promises He made even when your emotions are pulling you in the opposite direction. Faith isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's a whisper that says, I don't feel it today, but I believe He's still with me. Sometimes it's just getting through the day with the simple truth in your heart: I'm still in His plan. That's powerful. That's real. You are not disqualified by your doubt. You're not less faithful because you're struggling to believe. God knows your heart and He meets you in your weakness. So when the feelings rise and try to drown your hope, come back to the truth. Anchor yourself in it. You were loved. You were chosen. You are not forgotten. And even now, even here, you are still in His hands. There are moments when we look at our lives and feel the crushing weight of regret. The decisions we made, the roads we took, the times we wandered away from what we knew was right, they play like a loop in our minds. And we start to believe the lie that we've messed it all up. That somehow we've gone too far, taken too many wrong turns, and now we're outside of God's plan. We whisper to ourselves, maybe this was supposed to be something beautiful, but I ruined it. But hear this truth, you are not powerful enough to ruin God's purpose for you. You don't have the ability to break what God has already redeemed. His plan is not so fragile that your failures can derail it. God knew every wrong turn you would take, every mistake you would make, and still, He called you. Still, He chose you. Still, He made a way forward. God specializes in redemption. That's what He does. He takes what's broken and makes it beautiful. He takes what was meant for harm and turns it for good. His grace is not just for the perfect moments, it's for the messy, complicated, guilt-ridden places where you feel disqualified and distant. And in those places, He meets you with mercy. Think about the prodigal son. He walked away from everything good, wasted what he'd been given, and only returned when he had nothing left. But what happened? His father didn't shame him. He didn't scold or punish. He ran to him, threw His arms around him, restored him. That's the heart of your Father, too. He doesn't look at your past with disappointment, He looks at your return with joy. Yes, maybe you've taken detours. Maybe the road has been long and filled with regret. But even your worst detours can become part of God's map. He weaves it all, your victories, your failures, your turning points, into a story of redemption. A story only He could write. So don't count yourself out. Don't think for a second that your mistakes have canceled your calling. God is not done with you. Not even close. His grace is still reaching, His purpose is still unfolding, and your story is far from over. What you thought disqualified you might just be the very thing He uses to show the world what His redemption really looks like. There's a difference between giving up and letting go, and it's an important one. Giving up feels like defeat. It's the moment when we throw our hands in the air and say, I can't do this anymore. But letting go is something different. Letting go is surrender. It's a conscious choice to release control and say, God, I'm handing this over to you. It's not about giving up on life or on hope. It's about giving God space to work in ways you can't. We often confuse control with cooperation. We try to force outcomes, manage every detail, and carry burdens that were never meant to be ours alone. But God's plan isn't about your control, it's about your cooperation. It's about partnering with Him, trusting that even when you can't see the path, He's leading. Surrender means saying, I may not understand the timing or the process, but I will trust the one who holds my future. That kind of trust requires patience for the silent moments, the unanswered questions, the delays that stretch on longer than you want. It requires obedience to keep walking forward even when the road is dark and the destination feels far away. It means holding on when everything inside you wants to let go. Sometimes the most powerful prayer you can pray is simple, Lord, I trust you. It's a prayer that admits you don't have all the answers, that you can't fix everything, and that you need God's help. It's a prayer that opens your heart to His peace and His power. So, when life feels overwhelming, when the weight of your struggles threatens to crush you, remember this: surrender is strength, not weakness. Letting go is not giving up, it's letting God take the lead. And when you do that, you open the door for His plan, perfect, loving, and far greater than anything you could imagine, to unfold in your life. It's easy to get caught up in the weight of your own struggle, the pain, the questions, the loneliness that feels so overwhelming. But what if the story you're living right now isn't just about you? What if your pain has a purpose far beyond your own healing? What if one day the very thing that feels like your greatest burden will become the source of someone else's hope? Every hardship you endure is a part of a bigger picture, a setup for a testimony that only you can tell. When you walk through the fire with faith, when you refuse to let your struggle define you, you become a living example of God's power to restore, redeem, and renew. Your story isn't just about surviving, it's about shining. It's about becoming a beacon of light for others who are still in the dark. Faith under pressure creates a ripple effect that goes far beyond what you can see. The courage you find in the midst of pain will inspire someone else to keep going. The grace you experience in your hardest moments will remind others that God's love is real and active. The breakthrough you receive will pave the way for others to believe that their breakthrough is possible, too. Your pain has a purpose beyond you. It's a thread woven into the tapestry of many lives that will be touched, changed, and transformed because you chose to trust when it was hard to trust. So hold on. Keep believing. Because the testimony that's being formed in you now will one day be the very thing that leads someone else out of their own struggle. Your story matters. Your journey is not just survival, it's a powerful witness to God's unfailing faithfulness. Waiting is one of the hardest seasons to endure. It's that quiet, invisible space between what you hoped for and what hasn't yet arrived. Nothing seems to move. Days blend into weeks and weeks into months, and the impatience grows louder with every passing moment. It's easy to feel stuck, forgotten, or like you're wasting precious time. But what if the waiting is not wasted at all? What if this in-between season is actually a sacred time of preparation, not punishment? God is never idle. Even when you can't see progress or hear answers, He is working deep beneath the surface in ways you cannot yet understand. Think about a seed planted in the soil. You don't see it sprouting at first. You don't hear it growing or watch it break through the dirt right away. But beneath the ground, the seed is busy doing the most important work, building roots, gathering strength, preparing for the day it will burst into life. That quiet, hidden growth is essential. Without it, the seed could never become the flower or the tree it was meant to be. Your waiting season is much like that. It's not empty or meaningless. It's full of unseen growth. Your character is being strengthened. Your faith is being deepened. Your spirit is being prepared for what's next. The waiting is a holy space where God is shaping you in ways that won't be obvious until the time is right. So don't lose heart. Don't fall into despair because the breakthrough hasn't come yet. Instead, choose to trust the process. Believe that God is faithful even in the silence. Remember, the seed grows in silence deep underground. And when the time is right, you will see the beauty that was quietly growing all along. In the journey you're on, there will be moments when everything around you feels uncertain, when the answers you long for don't come, when the path ahead seems clouded and unclear. In those moments, it's natural to want to give up, to stop praying, to question if it's even worth holding on. But here's the truth, your breakthrough often comes not because of what you see, but because of what you believe. The Bible reminds us, for we walk by faith, not by sight. This means your trust isn't anchored in what's visible or tangible. It's anchored in the unchanging character of God, the one who promised never to leave you or forsake you, the one who holds your future in His hands. Walking by faith means continuing to pray even when it feels like your prayers are unanswered. It means showing up day after day, trusting that your persistence matters. It means believing in God's goodness even when circumstances suggest otherwise. Resilience isn't about having all the answers or feeling strong every moment. It's about choosing to rely on God's faithfulness when your emotions and your surroundings tell a different story. It's holding on when it doesn't make sense, trusting that the invisible hand of God is moving behind the scenes. So keep walking, keep praying, keep believing. Even when the road feels long, even when the light at the end of the tunnel seems dim, your faith is more powerful than your doubts, and God's promises are more certain than your fears. Hold on to that truth. Walk by faith, not by sight, and watch how God turns your waiting into a witness, your struggles into strength, and your story into a testimony of His unfailing love. I want to speak directly to your heart right now. I know you're tired. I know it hurts more than words can say. The weight you're carrying feels heavy, and some days it's all you can do just to keep putting one foot in front of the other. But please, don't give up. Not now. Not ever. You are not invisible to God. He sees every tear you've cried, every silent prayer you've whispered, every moment you felt alone. He knows your pain intimately, even the parts you haven't been able to share with anyone else. And He cares deeply, personally, and without hesitation. Nothing you've gone through is wasted in His hands. Every struggle, every setback, every moment of doubt is being woven into something greater than you can imagine. God is using your story, your pain, your perseverance, your faith to bring about a purpose that will one day shine brightly, not just for you, but for others who need hope. So hold on, dear one. Keep trusting, keep believing, and keep moving forward. Because He sees you, He knows you, and He cares more than you'll ever fully understand. Your journey is not in vain. It's part of a divine plan, one that is unfolding even now, and one that will lead you into a future filled with His peace, His love, and His victory. As we come to the close of this message, I want to leave you with a deep sense of peace and hope. Your story is still unfolding, far from finished, far from forgotten. What feels like an ending right now is often just the quiet beginning of something new, something beautiful, something greater than you can imagine. Remember this, God's plan is still unfolding, even when the path seems unclear, even when the struggles feel overwhelming. His hand is at work behind the scenes. He is writing a story of redemption, restoration, and victory. One that includes every part of your journey, every tear, every triumph, and every moment of faith. So hold on to that truth. What feels like the end is often the beginning. The darkest night often gives way to the brightest dawn. And through it all, God's plan is greater than your struggles. Trust Him. Lean into Him. Believe that He is leading you into a future filled with hope, purpose, and abundant life. Your story is far from over. It's just getting started.